Welcome, everyone. I am so glad that you could join us today for another one of our Spotlight series. This is a new series that we have started up to kind of get you more familiar with our library resources and digital programs, especially. My name is Lisa. I'm with the Tampa Hillsborough County Public Library, and I'm joined today by my friend Andre, who is going to be doing the Spotlight on LinkedIn Learning. Andre, thank you so much for putting this program together for us. I'm excited to see what you've got.
That's no problem, Lisa, and it's no problem for the people at home either. But yeah, glad to
I'll go
be
ahead
doing
and
it.
turn my camera off and I'll get right into the program.
Okay. All right. So we're starting off with LinkedIn Learning. As many of you might know, it's a e-resource that we have available at our library. In order to find it, you'll have to start on our website, hcplc.org. If you're ever confused about what that website is, it's on your library cards. You're able to just look straight at it and know where to go. Starting on our website's homepage, there should be a menu bar up at the top. If you click Learning and Research, like so, it should take you to the Learning and Research page. Below, you'll see Resources A to Z, which you can find LinkedIn Learning there, amongst other e-resources that we have available. But if you just want to skip to where it's currently located, you'll click Online Classes below Popular, and it should be the first item that's actually listed. As you can see, LinkedIn Learning's right there. It does have a description of the actual service and a library ID, which you may need when you're logging into a tablet or a phone version of the app. But other than that, this would be the way that you get there. What you would do is click LinkedIn Learning. So yeah, going over it again, you can log into this anywhere you'd like. You can have it on your laptop. You just go straight to the website and log in from there. There you can download the app and have it on your tablet or phone. With the tablet and phone, you'd have to use the library ID as mentioned to log in. But aside from that, the only thing that you really need to authenticate in order to use the website is your library card and PIN. So what you would do is once you clicked on LinkedIn Learning login page, it would take you to that landing page. You would click continue, enter in your library card and PIN, and then continue again. All right. So the first thing that you'll see when you're logged in is the home page. Don't get too intimidated by it. It's basically like the homepage for YouTube, where it's just a bunch of suggestions and related and recommended courses. Occasionally, if you've been using it for a while, it should have like your most recent class up at the top. But other than that, anything that's below that is basically just suggestions that they're trying to use your history and preferences to kind of advertise what else is available on the platform. Yeah. Beyond that, navigating the website is fairly easy. Just like any other website, you have a toolbar at the top. Something to note though is that very general, the LinkedIn Learning logo and the home logo over here both take you just back to that home page. So if you're ever just exploring to the website and you just want to get back to that original home page, either of these will do. Just click on either one and it should just bring you back there. Aside from that, the two other, I guess, categories that we would split this toolbar into are one, course exploration, and personal account settings. All right, so let's look at course exploration. So to start with, if you hit browse, you should get a drop down that shows you 3 different categories: business, creative, and technology. There's a 4th, certifications, but that's kind of more of a general view. We'll get to that in a second, but basically, if you're focusing on business, creative, or technology, these categories break down into role guides, topics, software, and learning paths. I know here it says business topics, but that's only really specific to the business genre that we have highlighted here. If you clicked creative or technology, it would say technology topics or creative topics. So as a general breakdown, role guides are they're kind of curated links of just like different courses and stuff like that that we have available that are specific to a job title. Topics would be more specific to classes. that would be related to skills in that job title. Software would be more specific to software that's relevant to that job title, and learning paths is kind of just like a bare bones structured guide on how to get a specific job or how to get to that specific job. So yeah, they're all kind of working in tandem together. Role guides is just like a summary of all of them. All right, so like I mentioned, certifications, it's kind of its own separate thing. When you click on it, it'll show you various different types of certifications and even academic credits. I'll get to that in a second. But basically, all the other things are basically helping you guide yourself to a specific career path or a specific skill set. Certifications, on the other hand, are more specific to the field that you want to work in or are already working in. So with the specific courses on LinkedIn Learning, you can get a professional certificate. So something that would actually show that you have like the skills to work in this field. Certification preparation. So like the things that you would need in order to study for those certifications, and continuing education. So once you have a specific certification in like an ideal field, you would need to take some kind of continuing education unit in order to continue to have that certification. If you don't, you lose the cert eventually. If you keep, I don't know, if you keep getting the certain amount of continuing education credits that you need to keep that certification, you can just do them here and, you know, keep having it for more than 3 or 5 years that it's relevant for. Also, academic credits. By completing some of the certifications and even some of the learning paths, some of them do qualify for academic credits, but most of them are for like universities abroad. If you wanted to check if it's applicable to some school that you go to, you can check at Shawal down here, but otherwise it's kind of a hit or a miss kind of thing. It's mostly abroad schools, but otherwise, this is where you would come to find various means to keep your certification or to grab one. All right, so outside of browse, we have the search bar. When you click on the search bar, it has a kind of a plethora of things. It's kind of like a summary of what you would normally look at when you were looking at browse. There's a list of recent searches, certification offerings, and what I'm looking for. So certification offerings is just a summary of that certification page that we were just looking at when you were looking in browse. Recent searches are just like it says, recent searches that you already put into the search bar. So if you found something previously, you might want to go back and check on it again if you didn't save it. And what I'm looking for kind of helps you narrow down what specific media choice that you want to actually watch or listen to while you're on LinkedIn Learning. Because there are audio courses, there are events, so like webinars that are specific to like a live showing, stuff like that. There's also pre-recorded stuff, which is the main bulk of what the courses are. You can kind of just narrow that here from I'm looking for. Just click on one of them and it should take you straight to there. Once you've actually chosen a course that you want to actually take place or to study, that's probably a better way to put it. It'll take you to this course layout page. It's like I said, it's very, very similar to any other kind of media website, YouTube or something like that, that helps you kind of like navigate through a number of playlists. As you can see, the course here has 3 different sections once you're actually on a course page. To the left here is your chapters or your playlist specific to that course. To the top right is your actual media. It's where you'll actually be watching or listening to whatever course you're in. And at the bottom here is your course details. Some things to learn about the actual whole layout is that it's pretty intuitive. You can browse by chapter. There's like these little bookmark symbols down here. If you click one, it saves it to your account. As you progress through the actual course, these dots here also light up, so you can actually keep track of what videos you've watched previously. On the actual media player, you have that same bookmark option up at the top. You can save it to a playlist by clicking this plus sign. You can share it with friends. You can play it back. You can reverse, play forward. Just very general things that you can typically do with any other media player. And at the bottom here is your course details. This will include stuff like your exercise files if it's included, specific to the course. Like if you're studying like a specific software like Photoshop, you might have some exercise files down here that you would use to manipulate in that specific software. You also have information about your instructor, related courses, and what other tags that this course might be related to. There's also a notebook option where you can type out notes and re-download them for review later, and a transcript, which is, as far as I can tell, algorithm based. There are times where it's a little spotty and it doesn't capture everything that's being said in the course. But if you just kind of want to go back and see where something was said, you can kind of skim through the transcript and even click on the actual words to skip back to that point in the video. Yeah. All right, on to the next slide. All right, so now that we've actually looked over all the course exploration tools, we're going to look into the actual account tools. The first things first is My Learning, which is this book kind of icon at the top. Once you're on the My Learning page, it's kind of split into two separate halves. There's My Library and then My Goals. My Library is basically everything that you've kind of come across in LinkedIn and actually had like a chance to actually review. So you can see that it's broken down into 4 separate parts, this library. There's stuff that's in progress, stuff that's saved, my collection, and should be something like your history, your learning history. Yeah. So basically, in progress is any course that you're currently watching. It'll keep stuff there, so long as you show some interest in it. I haven't had anything disappear from there unless I've completed it, in which case it just shows up in my learning history. Saved items are those that you have bookmarked. So if you're going through a specific course and then you just wanted to review a specific chapter of that course because it wasn't getting to you at the time and you kind of just had to keep watching videos to watch other things, or to complete the course rather, you can always save it. It'll be right here, and then you can always go back to review. And then my collection is in that plus sign where the media player was. If you click on that, you can kind of create your own playlist. So if you wanted a specific playlist of, I don't know, software tools or something very specific like a SQL command or something like that, you can create and curate your own playlists here in my collections. You can also add them to separate collections from within these various different sections, or you can just delete them and just not have them show up in your history at all. All right, so moving on to my goals. All right, so the other half of my learning is my goals. There's not a lot of options here, but it is something that'll help you, I guess, kind of drill down on what exactly you want to do with LinkedIn Learning. As you can see, the 2 options are set a weekly goal and skills followed. Set a weekly goal basically allows you to set a goal amount of time that you want to spend reviewing content on LinkedIn Learning. It is kind of segmented into predefined time chunks, I guess is the best way to put it. You can set a goal for like 30 minutes for the week, and then the max is like 120. Once you hit that goal, it notifies you and you're like, hey, you did it. It's more or less for those people that really need some kind of like a means of keeping themselves accountable with taking these courses, that are just kind of give yourself some kind of like motivation. On the other hand, skills followed, you can manage them over here to the right, but basically what you would do is tell LinkedIn Learning what specific skills or job roles or software you might be interested in, and it's going to curate those suggestions towards that. So down at the bottom here, you can see that I said programming languages, big data, page layout. It's a lot of like specific to UX or user interaction. Yeah, so based off of those 3 tags that I have down there, all the stuff that LinkedIn Learning is going to be showing me on that home page is going to be relevant to this, along with whatever I've been watching recently. So yeah, just like YouTube. All right, so next to my learning up on the toolbar is the notifications bell. If you click on that bell, you'll have this little drop-down countdown, and based off of like what kind of notifications you have set up for the actual website, you'll see them here. If you wanted to edit them, you can click this little gear right here, and it should take you to this LinkedIn Learning page for notifications. As you can see, there's a lot of toggles here. There's a lot of different options for things that you would want to get notified about, but it's ultimately up to you whether or not you want to do any of those, and you can just turn them on and off as you please. Next to notifications is the me option. There's no real way or real good way to kind of describe it other than it's just a little circle with a silhouette that says me. Basically, this is just your account settings for the entire website. There are a few redundancies in here, but they're useful because it's all just kind of collected into one place instead of having to scatter around all over the place if you get lost on the website. Once you click the drop down, you should see what organization you're signed in with. Obviously, since we work with the library, it's going to be Tampa Hillsborough County Public Library. As you can see, there's a little bit of redundancy with My Learning right here, along with My Goals and My Library. The main thing to kind of focus on with the account settings me drop down are settings, help center, and sign out. Obviously, we'll know what sign out is. Once you click that, it logs you out of LinkedIn Learning. The help center kind of varies in mileage. If you click it, it takes you to a FAQ for LinkedIn. Not specific to LinkedIn Learning, but to LinkedIn, the actual like resume website. There are some things there relevant to LinkedIn Learning, but it's kind of just a catch-all for everything that you might need to do to troubleshoot on the website. So it's there, but like I said, my mileage may vary. Finally, if you click on settings, it should take you to this separate manager account page. There are some redundancies here again. As you can see, there's notification settings specific to everything that's on LinkedIn Learning and your email. Language is down here at the bottom again, but the primary thing that you should be worried about when on the actual account settings page is autoplay and basically just autoplay. There are some kind of settings here that you can kind of just toggle with whether or not it'll autoplay while you're on something or you're hovering over a specific thumbnail. But other than that, these are the really two things that you can do from your account page. On to the next slide, which will finally get to language. The final icon on the top toolbar all the way to the right is a little globe. Once you click on that, it should bring up this language dropdown. It's kind of a quick menu. You can access this, like I said, through your account settings, but right here you can get an idea of all the different languages that are available on LinkedIn Learning currently. As you can see, some languages are currently new. They do continue to add more languages, so you might have to check back if something's not here. It is kind of a continuing development. Something to keep in mind though is that when you change the language, it does not change the course contents language. It instead just changes all the menus and navigation for the website. I'm not entirely sure if it does anything relevant to the transcript. I kind of doubt it, but yeah, as far as I know, this is just for the actual website and not for any actual course content.
I can confirm it does not translate the transcript.
Okay, yeah. It's mostly there for navigation for people abroad, but other than that, if the course isn't written in it, it's just going to continue to be what it was recorded in. Yeah. That should be it as far as I know.
That is the bulk of the overview of LinkedIn Learning. So we're going to talk about some other stuff here. So while we're talking about this stuff, you'll get those questions in, and then we'll do our Q&A session. But before we get into that, just want to point out we've also got some great books especially if you're brushing up on some IT skills, some programming skills. We do have books that can help you do that. So we picked out a couple here. We've got the A Plus Complete Study Guide. This is one of the ones that you will see is updated fairly regularly. So there's a specific, this year new edition version of it. So if you're doing this, maybe you're working on your computer skills as part of a class with either an online program or a local college, and you're looking for the book for that, we do have them, but just check the year edition and make sure it matches up with what you need for that. We also have ebooks. We have tons of ebooks available on all of our different ebook platforms. So we picked the How Linux Works to kind of give you that high level overview of how it works. And this is one that is available on Libby right now. So check those two out, hcplc.org/books. We'll bring you to our catalog or just on our main page, type that into the search box and it'll pull up results related to whichever certification you're studying for. So yeah, check out those books. Here we go. I think we're ready for our Q&A. So Miss Vivian is our lovely Q&A question reader for today. Let's start looking at some of these questions that we had come in.
All right. So one of the questions that came in, is it linked to LinkedIn?
So it is the same
yeah.
company.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, we used to have a service called Linda, and basically they kind of did the same thing where it's just like a compendium of different like skills and courses that you can take to advance your career. At some point, LinkedIn bought them, and then maybe about 2 years ago, they rebranded them into LinkedIn Learning. So everything that you actually do on LinkedIn Learning now, if you get a certificate or something like that, or some kind of earned skill, that'll actually translate to your actual LinkedIn resume, if you have the two accounts connected to each other. So anything that you do in one,
you don't have to link them, but you are able to link in if you have like a professional profile set up on LinkedIn. You can link it with this library account when you create that login.
Yep. And that way you can actually have a living resume.
And part of it, I guess, because they're trying to revise their mainframe membership skills and Salesforce skills. Also, if they give certifications, are those certifications are just for adding professional certifications?
Well, okay, so it kind of depends. The list of professional certifications that they have on the website are more specific to like things that you would need in order to actually enter a field. So like that book that we were just going over, the CompTIA A+, the CompTIA A+ gets renewed every 3 years. And so in order to actually get that cert, you have to study for it and then apply, take tests, get the cert. In order to get specific IT jobs, you would need that cert in order to actually enter the field in the first place. So that's what like a professional certification would be.
So they do have a number of different ones. So if there's a specific certification that you're looking for, just type it in on that search bar on LinkedIn Learning and see if it pops up. They're constantly changing and adding to the certifications that they have on there. So it's always worth checking back when it's time for you to recertify or do your continuing education credits. So if what you look for before isn't on there now, check in again.
Yeah.
And I see someone else asked if they actually get a certificate by completing it. So yes, Andre showed us where on the account profile where you can look for that. So if you do complete these courses, some of them are for certificates. So especially these professional ones that we have on there are for formal certifications. Yes, those will be linked in your account. Some of the courses that you take on LinkedIn Learning, you can get a certificate for, but it's not what would be considered a professional certification. So it's just a you did it, yay, certification. So there are both kinds. So you'll need to look at that carefully if it's something that you need for like keeping your credentials valid.
Yeah, like one would be specific to actually like licensing. The other would be like something that you would post on your resume kind of thing on LinkedIn.
So, but both of those exist. It really depends on the specific topic.
Yeah.
Okay. The other question that came in was like, if they complete the course, how do they get the certificate? Is it generated on the library card number or name? They didn't think they were given any professional details when going into LinkedIn.
Okay, that's a fair thing to ask. Like Lisa mentioned, you can connect your account with the actual LinkedIn Learning account. so that LinkedIn will know that when you complete one thing on LinkedIn Learning, it should transfer over to that LinkedIn account. And that way it would actually have that certificate for your specific like professional account for your resume and everything like that.
I believe it's in your account settings where you can make that connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually tied through the email, isn't it, Andre?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I guess we were trying to log in and they said they didn't get an option to link the LinkedIn profile to LinkedIn Learning account through the library. Is there a way or is there a link that can be added somehow to get instructions to the link?
So that's just going to be within the account settings. So once you're into LinkedIn Learning and you click on that little me icon where you can update your email address and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you would just use the email address that is associated with your LinkedIn professional profile.
Okay, and I think that's pretty much it for the questions.
All right, so if any last minute questions come in, let us know, but we always have a survey that goes out after our program. So when you get that survey, if you think of something after, you can type that in there and we'll get back to you by email that way. But other than that, we have more Spotlight On programs coming up this upcoming month in March 1st. We're doing one on Science Online. It's one of our great e-learning resources, and we'll pull up a hands-on science experiment on there and work through that together. And at the end of the month, March 29th, we'll do a Spotlight on the Libby app. You may have heard that Overdrive is phasing out and Libby is the new queen of the ebooks. So that we're not going to have the option to choose between Overdrive and LinkedIn Learning soon anymore. We're going to be all Libby soon. So yeah, we'll have a course on that Libby app, so tune in for that. Ms. Vivian, if you want to give us our contact shout outs.
Yes, and if you ever want to reach the library, you can contact us at hcplc.org/contact or call us at 813-273-3652.
And with that contact information, just keep in mind if you ever are having trouble using one of our resources where you're having a hard time getting logged in or figuring something out, if you go to our contact page and click on that Ask a Librarian button, that will let you text or chat with one of us in real time. It is a local Hillsborough County. One of us is answering that during the day. It is open during business hours. So yeah, if you're working on the computer and you're stuck trying to use one of those, pop in the Ask a Librarian button and see if they can help you walk through it that way, or give us a call. We can help you that way as well. All right, folks, looks like that's it for the questions. Thank you all so much for joining us. Andre, thank you for this great presentation, and Vivian, thanks for the Q&A support.
You're welcome.
We hope to see you all again for the next program. Good night, friends.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Good night.